Not Nerd Podcast, episode 344, Old China Dan.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Hello to you, sir. I have no jokes. I'm not going to be serious this time, but I have nothing for you. I'm walking into the room ready to record a podcast. I will say that I'm a little bit proud of my The Frame installation that I showed you a picture of. Listeners may remember that I bought Samsung's 2022 version of The Frame. All previous versions were terrible. If you have one, I am sad for you. But the newer one is actually passable. It's not excellent, but it's passable. But I put it on my wall with a piece of art. All the electronics are behind the TV. The power is in the wall. It looks like art. It's amazing. It does.
I thought it was just a painting, a fine art painting mounted on your wall. And I'm like, where are you going to put the TV? That painting's in the way.
Yeah, and you're probably like, why did you choose that weird kind of pastel-y weird painting? I just stuck it up there. It's no big deal. Because since it's digital, I can put anything there. But
yes, you can.
I digress. Me and my mini mansion that I live in here with my fancy wall-mounted television that looks like art. I'm living in my castle here.
High class. Well, let's get off of that and talk about some technology. Oh, wait, that was technology.
It was.
That will be our first piece of follow-up officially. And the next one, I want to remind people of our T-Mobile referral, and I was excited that we had one come through, but then Dave let me know that the people that did it had a pretty bad experience trying to get moved over, so it looks like they will not be going to T-Mobile. So I apologize that you had a bad customer service experience with them, and I hope others that decide to use our referral code at notnerd.com/T-Mobile with the dash in T-Mobile or not, both will
Either
work.
way, wow, that's fancy. Well, I hope that they will reconsider. I know the trauma associated with it. I am the same way. I fire companies all the time due to terrible customer service. But at the end of the day, is there a better option? Is AT&T better? Well, if you want to be gouged and have terrible customer service. Verizon, slightly better customer service and coverage, but way gouged.
Yes.
So I don't want to say T-Mobile is you get what you pay for. In our experience, we get much more than we pay for.
Very true.
But we're not signing up right now. We signed up years ago, so maybe we would have a different experience.
And from what you said, they did have a really bad experience, but you do have to look at the holistic cost and the savings you will have over time, and that you hopefully won't get the same people to deal with every time.
Yeah.
But I was also going to remind people, I was talking to somebody, they're living kind of rurally and trying to get internet at the new place that they're living. And I mentioned, and we didn't mention before, the T-Mobile home internet. So if you have strong, I know we've talked about it in the past, but I want to remind people that for $50 a month, you can, if you have good T-Mobile service at your house, you can get internet through the cellular network. So 5G if it's available, or LTE, depending on where you live. So, and it does have a little thing that if you are in a Magenta Max family plan, you can get the home internet for $30 a month.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So it is another option that's out there. It's nice to have options. Mm-hmm. Ooh, and it looks like you can get an Echo Show 8 second generation on us when you switch to T-Mobile 5G home internet. Man, and 50% off YouTube TV for a year.
And don't forget, you can get AAA car whatever,
and Netflix,
for free.
I mean, they're basically paying you at this point.
Yeah.
Very nice. And I also wanted to follow up on a pick of the week from, it's probably been a month ago now, the Upside, the gas app. And it's actually gas, restaurants, and grocery stores, depending on your area, what will be available. But this is the app where you open it up, you find a deal at a local gas station, and you go. I actually used it. I used one of the apps on my phone, and I saved, I believe on my first one, I think it was 50 cents a gallon. And it came through and it was like $7 or something that I saved on that first one. I did it again today. So there's several gas stations in our area, and they keep telling me, the news keeps telling me that gas prices are falling quickly, but they have not fallen at all here in Tualatin. They
Not
are
that I've seen.
the same $5.59 that they've been for quite a while. So apparently the national average. So hopefully you're not like us, and in your area it is making up the curve on that.
Right. We're the one state that's killing the curve for everybody else, probably.
Yes.
I shop for gas nearly exclusively at Costco, so
Yes.
I'm sure that this would not work for me. But
Yeah.
$7 a tank is a huge benefit.
Yeah, and I think there was a thing when I went the first time, and it said if you buy anything in the convenience store, it's 15% or 15 cents to the dollar, 15% off. I guess that's the same thing. Yeah, so I've had a good experience. You just give it, they have a thing where you give it like the first 4 or the first 6 digits of your credit card and the last 4, and they can figure out and track you somehow. So again, I do not know any of the privacy implications on this, but hey, making some money, so who cares about privacy?
Right. Wait.
Oh, wait, that's not the message we want to share with people.
I was on board until I actually realized
what I was
involved.
saying.
Yeah.
Well, this next one, Dave, you were so excited because Meta kept telling us that you were going to be able to use your Quest without a Facebook account, which they have now said is going to be possible. But guess what? You've got to have a Meta account. So how is that any different in the long run or privacy-wise?
The privacy-wise, zero difference.
Yes.
Abuse of data, zero difference. The only advantage is if you are a Facebook user, I will say an avid Facebook user, and you get into hot water by commenting or posting things that you shouldn't, and you get your Facebook account closed down, then you don't have to worry about your Quest gaming system also getting shut down.
Okay.
And there are stories of people who have had their accounts blocked or messed up, or they've done something to get banned. You know, there hundreds of dollars worth of games that they've purchased are now gone because they can't access their account. So it's better in the sense that this is a gaming tool, although Facebook would love it to be your portal into reality. But as a gaming tool, it's great that the account is separate. Like Microsoft was getting into some trouble with this as well. I don't expect that if I have a Microsoft Live account, that if I do something on the Xbox platform, that my Office 365 account is going to get taken away, or vice versa. There are some similarities with the way Microsoft does their stuff. And there was a recent story that there was some people having some issues with some cross-platform banning that was going on. But this is a whole nother ballgame with Meta Quest. And I've noticed that on Facebook, they're using the Meta brand more. And so my guess is that in the future, there will be a Meta login where you can log into Facebook, into your Quest. It's the same. It's going to be the same thing. There's going to be one account to rule them all. That's what I think.
Yes, indeed. One, we'll just get it tattooed on our foreheads, and then you can log in anywhere.
Right. So convenient.
Yes. Well, back to internet talk. We were talking a couple weeks ago about Starlink and how they had the RV service. Well, Dave, now for your yacht, which you'll buy a second frame TV for, you can also get Starlink satellite internet for boats.
That's good to know. I was just thinking, I'd really like to go tool around the Caribbean on my yacht, but I don't have consistent coverage for internet.
Yeah.
But this is going to solve my problem. So I think I'll just live on the yacht, and I can do all my work, and we can record podcasts through Starlink. So finally, it's here. I'm not bound. I'm not bound to live in one of my houses. So
yes, indeed, and it will only set you back $5,000 a month. But to get started, you will be spending $10,000 for the hardware. So take that into consideration.
Well, I mean, that's about 1 mile's worth of fuel for my yacht. So, no big deal.
Yes.
I've got to wonder why the hardware and the service fee is so much more than terrestrial, even for the RV stuff, which is much less.
Yes.
Maybe because they're trying to make up in costs differentials for the loss leader, which is their regular service. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's in the article it says the terminals were also designed to be able to withstand relentless salt spray and extreme winds and storms. Musk said SpaceX has been paying $150,000 a month for a much worse connection on its ships. Hoi, oi, oi.
Wow.
So it's a steal.
It's a
steal at $5,000
bargain.
a month.
I wonder if they've ever heard of fiberglass, because that'd be a great thing to put your stuff inside of.
Yes.
I wonder if the nautical world knows anything about fiberglass.
Ooh, we should tell them. We should tell them about that.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk Twitter news. We couldn't go another week without talking about that. So
Our favorite.
yes, I believe on Friday he filed with the SEC to cancel the purchase contract. So that threw everybody into a tizzy once again, and everybody's speculating why. And they, in the filing, he talked about that it was, I forget the exact wording, but basically that he wasn't getting what he was told he would be getting. And some of that comes with the bots.
But didn't he say he was buying it as is?
Somewhat, but there is an expectation based on SA. Oh my goodness. There was an expectation based on previous SEC filings from Twitter of what as is. So
Is Bill Clinton his lawyer?
yes, what is.
What's the definition of is?
Yes, indeed. But so there's a lot of speculation on why he's doing it. I've seen some people saying that it's just a master plan by him, because now Twitter will, sue him for backing out of the deal, and it'll go to court, and all of the stuff will be released in discovery that he maybe was privileged to but couldn't discuss due to NDAs. And so now, like, how many actual spam bots and how they calculate that stuff. But one of the other things that I heard today was that he was concerned because Twitter was making a lot of changes. Once he announced, they stopped all hiring, and they were making some cuts here and there. So he's like, hey, wait a second. You can't just stop running the company because I'm talking about buying it. So I was listening to the This Week in Tech podcast, and they spent quite a bit of time on it. And I realized as they were talking, one of the big problems is he recently came out and said that he voted for the first time for a Republican, and that he had some conservative views. So a lot of the tech media instantly, because of that, had some issues with him. But he's all over the place politically. But I will remind people we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet. Oh, the other opinion on why he was doing it is because he wanted to cash out some of his Tesla stock, which he said he was going to do for the deal, like $8 billion with a B dollars in Tesla stock to be able to make the purchase. Well, if you're the co-owner, I am done talking for the day and the episode. If you are the co-owner and the face of Tesla, and all of a sudden you go out and sell $8 billion of stock, well, the stock is going to tank. So they're thinking, well, he's got $1 billion penalty if he backs out, but he was able to cash out $8 billion in stock, and with the taxes and this and that, he was just doing all of this so he could cash out some Tesla stock.
Right. Wow. Crazy.
Yes. And just a quick reminder, as this episode comes out, it is Prime Day. I believe it's the 13th and 14th. So if you want to go over to Amazon and see if there's anything that you should buy, go ahead and do that, especially if it's Amazon brand stuff.
I started to look to see if maybe I could find a deal. I've got this, I think it's the 8-inch Fire tablet. Maybe it's a 10-inch.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it's a 10-inch one, which I like and I use. It's funny. I primarily use it as my Wise camera dashboard where I can see all my cameras. And I mean, it cost me like $50-$60 or something
Yeah.
like that, which is cheaper than any other monitor I can get. So I'm going to look to see, well, maybe there's a great trade-in where I give them my old one and I give them $20. It feels like I have a $20 or $30 subscription to the latest Kindle tablet. Every year they come out with one. I kind of traded the old one. So I'm going to take a look to see. And I started doing that, but I didn't get to finish it. So.
Well, you inserted something into our follow-up here, live update to our show notes.
Yes. I put the item in there, and it's titled The Incredibles Quote Correction. Last week, I attributed a quote to the philosopher Dashiell Parr from the Incredibles movie, Dash, the kid, and it was actually the quote from Syndrome. So Syndrome, in one of the parts, says, when everyone is super, no one will be. And that's kind of the whole point of the movie. Sorry if I spoiled it for you. Dash, what he says... his mom says, everyone is special, Dash. And he says, that's just another way of saying no one is.
Ooh.
So they're very similar, but I was attributing the when everyone is super, no one will be to Dash when it was actually Syndrome. So, but I love this because it speaks to our society with the idea that everyone's special, like how do kids navigate a world where maybe they're exceptional at something, but they have to honor kids who aren't and different stuff. And so it's a really philosophical question for a child's animated show. So something to think about. But anyway, I will stop attributing that quote to Dash and instead give it where it's rightly due, to Syndrome, which is such a great character.
A very important update. And you know what else is important? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Well, we can't have a tip typically without talking about some bad things, because the tips are usually solving problems, right? So one problem that some people have on their Mac, and I've been having one with my iMac that I've been using for about 5 or 6 years at work. So, I mean, it's old. It needs thrown in the garbage.
Yes.
But it's running Big Sur, which is like 3 or 4 operating systems back, because that's all it supports. And I don't know, about a year or so ago, it just started not working well. And so I replaced the hard drive with an SSD, which was great. I believe I did. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I did in that one. I thought, well, maybe it has something to do with that. So I enabled a setting on the SSD that maybe it would take. Long story short, I like to connect back to this computer. And due to apps crashing and locking up and not working, I can connect back to it for a while, and then after about a day, I can't connect back to it again. So I'm trying to solve the problem. I also have a friend of the show, Carolyn. Her computer is in need of a hard drive replacement as well. She's getting memory errors because what I think is happening is the computer is trying to write RAM to the hard drive, and it's not working right, and it's giving errors, et cetera, et cetera. So the tip is this. If you have a computer, there are 2 places you can look for if you start to see issues. One is the hard drive. If the hard drive is old, spinning hard drives last 4 to 7 years, depending on use, and then they just kind of die. SSDs are good, but they eventually are corruptible as well. But the RAM is something I'm looking at in my iMac. It's got 4 8-gig sticks of RAM. And my suspicion is that one or more of those sticks is flaky, not working. I've done a diagnostic test, an additional pro tip to this pro tip. What did you call it the last time? The pro tip or something?
Yes.
I don't
something
remember.
Like that. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, but it's been a long time since I've done this tip as well. If you start your Mac from being shut down and hold down the D key, that is hard to say, the D key, it will boot up into diagnostics mode, and it will check your RAM and all this stuff. It's kind of what Apple does at their store. If you take your computer in, they will run this. You just hold down the D. Well, you can run it yourself at home. I did that. Nothing. The RAM seems to be fine. So I'm to a point now where I'm putting in 1 stick of RAM, see if it operates normally. Then I'm going to take it out, put another stick of RAM, see if it operates normally, and try to isolate to see if it really is one of the RAM sticks. But the overall tip in summary is, if you're having computer problems, it's most likely a hard drive issue. But don't forget about the RAM. The RAM can go bad. And I read stories online in different forums. Somebody said, my computer was acting crazy. It couldn't have been the RAM. I put new RAM in 3 years ago, and it's been working perfectly. I know the RAM is good. Well, guess what? Things happen.
Yes.
RAM sticks can just go bad. Who knows why? So that's
Very
the tip.
good one.
If you're not a tech person, you can just get rid of your computer and buy a new one. That's one.
Yeah, that's the easy answer. If you're having problems with your computer, buy a new one.
Yeah.
But it's also a good reminder that one backup is none backup.
That's right, Nate. You can't move forward unless you back up. Behold the power of backup.
Thank you. Well, on to our takes of the week. The first one, to our Canadian listeners, you might have noticed this, but there was a massive Rogers outage.
I heard about this.
Yeah, and cut off 25% of Canada's internet traffic for nearly all of Friday.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yes, and I believe they provide both home and wireless internet, so like cellular and home internet. So that was impacting, and I think I saw a tweet or something that, on Down Detector, like everything in Canada was being reported as down because it's all tied to Rogers. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yikes.
But apparently they got it fixed because
Yes.
the Canadians are still part of the online community. So
Yes, and they do say that they're working to fully understand the root cause of this outage. We will make all the changes necessary to ensure that in the future we meet and exceed your expectations for our networks. And they're applying a credit to everybody that was impacted too. So that's nice,
good.
but that doesn't help you much on Friday when you needed the internet.
if it cost you sales for your business or whatever, that money is just gone.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting story. Apparently, the World Cup is coming up this summer. And this article from The Guardian is talking about AI-powered technology will be used to speed up VAR offside calls at World Cup.
Now, I have no idea. Value-added resellers?
Yes, I believe that is. Apparently, that's a thing. I'm aware of offside in soccer and mostly understand how they make the call on that. But I do not know what the VAR stands for. But
there is one thing. The VAR will then relay the verdict to the referee. So it must be verdict.
Oh, something. The video. I think it's the video automated replay or something like that.
Yeah,
that
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're hoping that it will cut down from about 70 seconds to 25 seconds. And they're going to be doing that with a sensor in the ball will send out location data 500 times per second.
Woo, that
which
seems
is pretty
like
crazy. Yes.
Yeah,
and then I believe the players will also have sensors so that they can calculate if it truly was offsides or not.
It helps speed up the game. So that's good.
Yes. Those video replays, like in the NBA, it goes on for like 5 minutes and they bring the little monitor out. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking about this story, and back in the 90s when we got Nintendo and we had Madden, and we were like, oh man, this is getting so realistic. I can't imagine how it would get more realistic in the future. And now the sports games are more and more lifelike. And with this, real sports are becoming more like video games with AI. So it's just going to blend into one, and they'll all just sit with a headset on and play sports games.
Well, no, you'll be able to move your controller, and a real player somewhere in the world will move.
Yes, we could be controlling the World Cup one day, Dave.
I really need to learn a lot more about soccer before we do that.
That would probably be a good idea.
I just push A.
Yes.
I don't know any other button.
Press the turbo button.
Oh, okay.
Well, from Politico, this one's just bizarre to me. Secret Service Director James Murray to step down, head to Snap.
So Secret Service Director is going to go to work for Snap, the social media company.
Yes, the purveyors of Snapchat. And it just seems like such a weird transition to me. I don't think in my brain of Snap being that big, that you would get the director of the Secret Service. But yeah, he's going to be the chief security officer at Snap, which this does kind of tie in with, like all the FCC people go to work for telecom, get these cush telecom jobs, or they worked for the telecom, then they go to the FCC. Again, we are nonpartisan, but, this is a nonpartisan issue. The collaboration, no, there's another C word that describes these people moving back and forth. Yes. Collusion, there we go, of these people moving back and forth from the places, not necessarily the Secret Service, that should be regulating these companies, and then those people just go back and forth between the companies, and it kind of makes you wonder.
I met a guy who was in the military who retired like at 50.
Yes.
And did air traffic control for the military, and then got hired back at the same, may not have been the same facility, but let's say the same facility to do the same job as a civilian. So he's getting his military pension plus salary for doing the same job.
If only I would have gone into the military.
I know. I kick myself all the time. Kids, that's a pro tip.
Yes.
If you don't know what you're going to do in life, join the military. There's opportunities for travel. There's opportunities for vocation choices. I mean, you could be called to combat. You could be put in danger, but let's face it, that's a rare exception.
Yes. Yeah. Go into the IT world or the air traffic control world of the military.
Do something tech.
Yes. Well, security and privacy, this is kind of a big one. Alleged Chinese police database hack leaks data of 1 billion with a B, which I believe would be about 85% of China's population.
That is a lot. That's more people than live in the United States.
Yes, it is. So in a post on the online hacking forum, Breach Forums, last week, someone using the handle China Dan, old China Dan up to it again, offered to sell nearly 24 terabytes with a T of data, including what they claimed was information on 1 billion with a B people and several billion with a B case records for 10 Bitcoin, worth about $200,000.
That's a good tip on terabytes. I always thought she was shifty.
Yes, she does. She bites. But yeah, that's a huge leak. And from what I've heard, they're kind of thinking that it, was just this database online that wasn't secured correctly. So somebody found it, and it had probably been that way for a couple of years.
What would you do with data on 1 billion people?
Where do you even start?
And I wasn't listening. Oh, here it is. Names, addresses, ID numbers, mobile phones. So I guess you could do a scam type thing where, hey, this is so-and-so. You email them or you call them and they
targeted
click the link.
phishing type stuff.
Yeah. And with 1 billion people, you're sure to get some traction on that.
Yeah. So that one's pretty crazy. Sorry to I don't think we've ever had a China download, but
I think we're blocked in China because we mention Tiananmen Square occasionally. So
yes. And that'll do it real quick. And I think actually mentioning this is blocked from most social media. They were talking about that on This Week in Tech as well. And Leo, the host, was talking about one time, I think maybe they mentioned Tiananmen Square or something, and that episode just disappeared. And he was in China once watching CNN, and the screen just went black for like 3 minutes. And he's like, oh, must have been a China topic they didn't want aired. So just a little friendly reminder that China is different than the United States in some ways.
Thank you for the reminder. I had forgotten almost.
Yes. And one last one. Google fixes another 0-day exploit in Chrome, 4th this year. So we talk about the Microsoft monthly updates, but a lot of people use Google Chrome, and it has released Chrome 103.0.5060.114 for Windows users to address a high-severity 0-day vulnerability exploited by attackers in the wild. The 4th Chrome 0-day patched in 2022.
Wow.
So
that was a lot of words, but
yes,
I'm glad that Yeah, I'm glad that they're finding them and fixing them is all I can
Yes,
say.
yes.
And don't forget, we love Brave browser, which is based on Chromium engine, but it's not exactly the same. So
Yeah.
I wonder how Chromium-based browsers are dealing with that, if it affects them or not. Like Edge, which we mentioned a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it does say for Windows users, so we also love Macs. So
Yeah.
maybe this it doesn't appear that this affected Mac users in the same way.
I can't stop complaining about Safari not having multiple profiles.
I know.
If they
I
did,
agree.
I would use it.
I would too.
Come on.
Well, it's time for a bonus odd take of the week after those fun stories. This one is a beautiful URL that they have. It's mvsep.com. You know, the old mvsep.com rolls right off the tongue, but what it is music voice separation.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
can add an audio file of many types, limit 100 megabytes, and they have some separation types. You can do vocals and music as the default, but then you could do, and it looks like there's some different kind of protocols for splitting it, but like vocals, drums, bass, piano, other, so you can choose how you want to split it out. And then you can do your output encoding, where you can do a very high bitrate MP3 at 320, a wave uncompressed, or a FLAC lossless. And then you get to fill out the fun little reCAPTCHA, I'm not a robot, but then it will separate your tracks for you, which is pretty cool.
Is this so you can, let's say our favorite singer, Cardi B, is
Yes.
singing, you can pull away the music and just have her voice?
No.
I'm thinking, what about movies, right? You want to isolate the audio track. Let's say you're recutting a movie or something like that.
Yeah.
As a fan movie, you could pull out, because sometimes when those edits happen, you hear the background music and then it immediately stops, and then a different piece of music. I wonder if it would work for that. My mind is just rolling here. And why did they go with MVSEP when they could have used Spleeter?
Yeah.
When you do separation type, you get Spleeter.
Spleeter.
I like Spleeter. I hardly know her.
But
Anyway,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
what I immediately thought about, and I will use as a bonus odd take, is for mashups. I used to be really into mashups, and a lot of people used to be, mashing two songs together. But there's one that I really enjoy, DJ Cummerbund.
Oh, I love DJ Cummerbund.
Yeah,
I was going to bring him up.
Yes, and he will show sometimes his videos of where he's playing all the different. So with this, you could, take out some sound in one part and use just the vocals to put over other sound that you had taken out. And so for, remixing or mashing up, I could see this being a pretty helpful tool.
And I was just thinking, this is an online tool versus an app that you download.
Yes.
And it got me to thinking that companies, the advantage of this being online is they don't really have to ask if you want to share data with them, if they can look at anonymous files, if they can do whatever. It's their server, it's their website.
Yeah.
You're going to them.
You're using their stuff.
Whereas if you downloaded something, there's often a little dialogue that says, hey, can you give us some usage statistics or some anonymous samples or whatever? You have to agree to all this stuff. And most people, I think, click no. But when you build a web service, you've got everything. So, because I'm like, what do they get out of this?
Yeah.
Data, I guess.
Yes. But it's a fun little site. And actually, my previous pick of the week, DJ, the DJ software that I use on the Mac, and
Aptly
it's
named.
also DJ AY, and it's actually cross-platform. I think Android, Windows, maybe even Linux, and then Mac and iOS. But they actually have built in some features, so live while you're DJing, you can turn down vocals, bass, or the music. They've got some little dials in the software, but having this standalone could come in handy when you're not DJing live, which I know most of our listeners do.
Yeah, of course. And whenever you play any of my tracks, I'm sure it's handy to have the turn down the vocals thing.
Yes.
So you don't have to listen
Cut
to me.
the vocals, please. But you know what we don't want to cut? Our picks of the week.
This one we've talked about before, but it's been several years. Once upon a time, you purchased an Anker Powerline I think it's the exact same thing. Anker Powerline 2, 3-in-1 cable. Lightning Type-C, micro USB, cable for iPhone, a million other devices. What this is, on one end of the cable, it's a cable. On one end of the cable is a USB Type-A. This is the regular rectangular side that you plug into your charger. On the other side is a USB micro. That's the kind of trapezoidal shaped one.
Yes.
Then there are little hangly danglies on the side.
Yes,
that
the
you can
official
snap
term.
on. Yeah. One is a USB Type-C that you can put on the tip. So now you have an A to C versus an A to micro. And useful for Apple users, there's a lightning tip that you can put on there as well. So you can basically carry one cable that serves the purpose of 3 cables. And I went out, and the one that you purchased for me several years ago is still going strong. Nice. I cannot tell you how many Apple cables that came with my phone or iPad, or they're just destroyed. They're gone. They've turned brown. They break, whatever. But this one is going strong. So they're a little spendy, which is the only negative part to this. They cost about $22 for a 3-foot cable. Yeah. And that's probably triple one that you will find at Target or something like that. And it's double what Apple's cable are. But the benefit you get by the quality of the cable and just having to take one instead of 3 cables somewhere. I've got one in my car that I'm leaving it in there now, and one in my bag. And when I'm in my car, if somebody says, "Oh, I didn't bring a cable, can we charge? Do you have anything to charge my phone?" I'm like, "Well, what type of phone do you have?" Mm-hmm. Or my battery backup packs or anything. It doesn't matter. I've got the tip for the job.
Nice. Yes, they are. I believe mine's in my tangle of cables next to my desk here somewhere. Well, my pick of the week, I'm going to do a pick and then a proxy pick for my wife. Now, my birthday was last month, and when we did the WWDC event and we recorded at your place, I stole from you the Griffin Elevate stand.
Oh, no, I gave that to you.
Well, yes, you did. But you said I could have it, and it's a really nice laptop stand. I use it for DJing, and I have one that I've had for probably 10 years, and it was getting pretty scratched up and everything, so when I do a wedding, it's not the best presentation. Yeah. So now that old one I just leave down at the Marathon, the bar that I DJ at, and the nice one I keep in pristine condition from when I DJ weddings. So it's very nice product.
I might even have the box around here somewhere.
Wow.
Keep it even nicer condition.
Even pristiner. Yes, but it's just a very simple metal. It's got 2 metal horseshoe type things and then a little plastic bracket on the bottom, so it's very minimalist, but gives you a good...
And it breaks down really small.
Yeah, really small, and gives you about 4 inches of elevation for your laptop for both cooling and just posture or whatever you need. It looks like the current one that they have on their website is a newer model that they're using that I had pulled up on one of my 500 tabs I have open, where it's got a little lip at the front, but I don't necessarily like that. It's got some grippy stuff on the top, so you can position wherever you want. But the Griffin Elevate, I'll have a link in the show notes if you'd like to purchase. Now, you had a birthday this past week, so
I did.
I dropped off on your porch a gift bag with lots of glitter on it, which I'm glad to get out of my house, and I think I finally got it all off my hand. But this is something that we purchased for you.
Okay.
And this is a proxy pick for my wife because she loves these things. So, Dave, why don't you take it out and describe what you've got in your bag?
I can't wait. I'm a little scared because it feels like a fabric item. I'm like, is this a doll of some sort?
Yeah.
Well, first off, I don't know what it is yet, but first off, it's got original Star Trek characters on it. Spock, Kirk, Uhura, all the greats are on there. So I love it. I want pajamas made out of this.
Yes.
I want curtains, and I want a bedspread and sheets made out of this. So
Well, we left the tag on there. You contact her. She might be able to do that for you. We picked it up at the Tigard Festival of Balloons. There was a bunch of booths there.
what is it? I can't.
Well, do you have any guesses?
Is it a Frisbee? No, is it something for like a drink holder? I'm gonna have to get my cheater glasses on here to read the tag.
It's a bowl.
A bowl cozy.
Bowl cozy. So what you do when if you heat something up in the microwave and you go to grab the bowl and it's super hot,
Oh yeah.
you have a bowl cozy, and I'm a big fan of cozies. Now, I don't eat a lot of stuff out of bowls, but Chelsea does, and she purchased one of these or got one quite a while back, and she's purchased a couple more because she uses them quite often for warm bowls. But it's really nice to put your bowl in and microwave safe, and then it just protects your hands while you're eating something warm out of a bowl.
This is fantastic because I do reheat a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's not the season for it, but we just had chili the other night.
Yeah.
And we have the bowls and we reheat it. And you're right, it's like 12,000 degrees. So this would be perfect for that. I'm trying to think other things. We have soups sometimes. This is probably going to be used more in the wintertime, in the summertime. But this is fantastic. And if I use it for nothing else, the artwork on it is amazing.
Yes, we saw that, and I go, I think Dave's birthday's coming up. Yeah. I need to buy him one of these.
So do you put the artwork on the outside or the inside?
Oh, that's a tough call.
I think you put on the outside because
one,
you want to keep.
You want to be able to see. You want to keep that pristine.
Yeah, you don't want to muck it up with the bowl if there's
with chili spilling on it and all that stuff.
This is great. And if I had two of them, I could fashion my own brassiere.
Yes, that would be perfect. Well, yes, again, contact her for the bed sheets. And the second one, she had all kinds of great stuff, a bunch of Harry Potter stuff. And
that's amazing.
I think she got a Baby Yoda. I don't know if it was one of those or just like a coaster. But yeah, some fun little geeky stuff, a geeky gift for you. So
I appreciate it, and it will be used.
Good.
And I love the artwork.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that, I think we will wrap up this episode. I will mention, available now, I was the guest host on the latest episode of the Mark and Toddcast, much like Dave was the other week. So I will have a link to that in the show notes, so you can listen to Todd and I talk through some news stories and a fun science adjacent topic that I brought for the show. But yeah.
I see that it's not listed yet.
No. So. Well, we're in the time warp of when people are listening to the episode, it will be available. So we actually joke about that on the episode because they record on Sundays and release on Tuesdays, and they'll often talk about stories that we talk about. And I'm like, hey, they're talking about this story we talked about, but we recorded on Monday before they release, and we don't release or record, and we don't release till Wednesday. So
there's no copying. There's no way copying can happen.
Nope. We both record before we release. But it was a fun episode, but not as fun as all of our episodes. So make sure you're subscribed, share it with a friend, and get out there and tech better. Well, you know what else I didn't even do a bonus hot take. Jeez Louise. Nope. Have a drink. Regroup, Nate. Regroup.